And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. Tears to Hope Society was formed in 2019. Lorna Brown and her family began raising awareness for MMIWG. Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. Tears to Hope Society was formed in 2019. Lorna Brown and her family began raising awareness for MMIWG when her niece, Tamara Chipman, went missing in Prince Rupert in September 2005. On today's Open Connection, we bring you a mix of highlights of 2025's Tears to Hope Relay and some archive footage.
We started in 2019. That was our first year, and we had a few weeks to get everything organized, and we managed to have, I believe it was 54 runners from Prince Rupert and Smithers and join in at Terrace, and then we finished with a 1 kilometer walk and then a feast afterwards, and it became an annual thing after that and just got bigger and bigger. While being from here, it just makes it that much more personal for me. And also what makes it personal is my cousin Tamara, who went missing in 2005. She's the reason that my family does this work. Like I mentioned before, it's work that chose us. We didn't choose the work. And after she went missing, we became very involved in the national crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Community support, we had a lot of community support. Tamara's father is a fisherman, and a lot of his fisherman buddies came out and helped us with the search, as well as the late Chief Don Roberts from Kitsim Kalem. He rallied a bunch of community members, and they came and helped with the search as well for quite a few weeks until it started snowing. We've actually gone to Ottawa a couple of times. The first time was to testify and give our thoughts on the possibility of a national red dress alert. So we got to sit in front of Parliament and let people know how crucial this situation is. The second time we went for the national, provincial and territorial leaders meeting, and we were the only grassroots organization that was invited to come and speak and give our input into what needs to be done, because the one thing that we've always said was that families need to come first, and we need to be able to let them know what it is we need and what needs to be done. So since 2019, we've gotten bigger and bigger and into supporting families and into now prevention. We really want to focus on youth as well and preventing future cases. So we have been working on a lot of different projects. I'm fortunate that I get to work alongside my mom since the beginning, and we really do see eye to eye on a lot of different things. So she gets the ideas and I help facilitate the whole thing. And so we've actually been doing youth conferences. We've taken family members on wellness retreats, because a lot of the times family members, they don't get that opportunity to take a break from advocating for their loved ones. And so we started taking them in the summer for a few days here and there and just pampering them and just giving them a few days off to just relax and enjoy their life.
This weekend, Florence Nazil began her campaign to walk from Prince Rupert to Terrace in order to increase awareness of the 34 women murdered and missing along the Highway of Tears.
This walk is an awareness walk in honor of the families that lost their loved ones and all our missing women throughout, from Prince Rupert to Prince George, all throughout BC and all across Canada.
Tamara Chipman's relatives were among those gathered at the Friendship Center at the outset of the walk. The 22-year-old woman went missing just outside Prince Rupert's Industrial Park last September 2005.
I'm going to honor my niece Tamara. I love that girl with everything. And she's my family, she's my blood. And I pray for all the other families that lost their children. And my heart goes out to every one of them. And we're going to get some answers, and that's what I feel this time. I'm going to walk all the way to Prince George because I want my answers. I want to find out what's going on with our people. This is our blood we're talking about here, and we have to find them. We have to have some closure for what's going on with our people.
Aboriginal elders and local politicians spoke out in support of Nazeel's campaign, highlighting the need to keep this issue on the radar.
I think Florence, with her walk going from Rupert to Terrace today, is a key start. And as an opposition in the government, we're going to keep this on the table and look at solutions and the challenges to the transportation issues in the north and in rural areas. And we need to keep this on the front burner, definitely.
Well, clearly it's complex and tragic. The impact on families, the impact on communities has been really big, and yet because it happens over time, slowly, it's easy to let it slip away. And so an event like this really draws attention to the magnitude.
The 147-kilometer trek will take all week, with the group arriving in Terrace this Friday.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. It began with Red Dress Project, created by Métis artist Jamie Black in 2010. 15 years later, Red Dress Day, held every May 5th, is a national day of remembrance and activism honoring the lives of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirited people. Let us rejoin the conversation as Denise shares what's in store for next year's Tears to Hope Relay.
We have decided that we're going to move our run to May 5th, or as close to it as possible, because it is a 3-day event. And then this fall we are advocating to the Minister of Education for BC to make this a part of schools, similar to the Terry Fox Run and Jump Rope for Heart, and have kids advocating alongside us. This year I invited a bunch of students from Haida Gwaii to Prince George and north, and we had about 750 students and teachers taking part. Oh. So I do thankfully have friends in high places, and they're actually going to get me a meeting with the Minister of Education this fall. Me living on Vancouver Island, I can zip down to Victoria no problem in an afternoon and take the meetings and and hopefully work with them and get them to make this part of an annual school event. The plan is to also approach TELUS as a major sponsor and to help us. We are so happy to have so much support. Unfortunately, the last time we were in Ottawa, we were told that since the inquiry was delivered to the federal government, our MMIWG numbers have gone up. And so even though we're working so hard to do this difficult work, numbers are going up, and so we're trying to do our part in this, in our little corner of the world. And I think to have the support that we've had, to hear the people driving by and honking for everybody, like, it's really, really heartening to see how much the North is standing with us.
22-year-old Tamara Chipman was born and raised here in Terrace. This afternoon, a press conference was held where her family sent out an emotional message pleading for the public's help.
I pray that anybody out there who has possibly come across her since September 21st that they would contact the RCMP. This is a girl who's loved by her father and her stepmom and her mother. She's loved by all of her family.
She is approximately 5 foot 10 inches tall and 130 pounds. She has brown eyes and very short brown hair. However, Miss Chipman was known to wear various wigs that were blonde, brunette, and red in color. It is unclear at this time what clothes she may have been wearing at the time of her disappearance.
She was last seen in Prince Rupert on September 21st at around 4:30 p.m., hitchhiking on Highway 16 near the industrial park outside of town. Brown says no one has been in contact with Tamara since September 21st, adding she has a son and left him with her grandfather.
Tamara is, she's a mother. I said she has a 2-year-old, and it's not really out of her, it's very out of character for her to not wonder how her child is doing. I mean, she's had a birthday since this time, since September 21st.
There have been several disappearances over the years of Indigenous women along Highway 16, which has also been labeled the Highway of Tears. Reports say over 30 women have gone missing between Prince Rupert and Prince George in the last few decades. Tamara's parents are hoping to hear from her soon.
We do have some very active, viable investigational avenues that we're pursuing quite vigorously. At the same time, we remain open to any possibility, including the historical events along Highway 16.
At this time, foul play cannot be ruled out, and police are treating this incident as suspicious.
Police say Tamara has had a past hitchhiking, adding it was not an excessive habit. Brown says there's been no financial transactions and absolutely no contact with her since the disappearance. If you know where she is or if you came into contact with her in Prince Rupert, you are asked to call the local RCMP detachment.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. A 724-kilometer length of Yellowhead Highway 16 between Prince Rupert and Prince George is known by many of the local residents as the Highway of Tears. The designation stems from a tragic number of predominantly Aboriginal women who have either disappeared or have been discovered murdered along this highway. In this next segment, Unifor 2000 President Brian Gibson shares how he became aware of the Tears to Hope Relay.
Unifor is, the acronym is a Unifor, Union for Everyone, is what it stands in English. In French, it's Unifor, as in Union Strength. So we wanted to pick a title that was kind of bilingual, and predecessor unions, Communication Energy Paperworkers Union and CAW, formed Unifor in 2013. So it was, we're a labor union. We represent like 320,000 people across Canada, workers in all sectors of all different industries throughout Canada. So it's one of I believe the largest private sector union in Canada. I think when I came in 2022, I noticed the signs. I asked some questions. I talked to our Indigenous liaison, Gina Smoke, and then they did a little digging, and we ended up getting more involved. So in 2023, I think Gina and Nikki came along and helped with some of the pilot vehicles, and ever since then, Unifor has also had its own event in October that in the communities across Canada that basically in honor of the Tears to Hope relay, but they do their own kind of walk and raise funds. Well, Unifor is here to put sort of action to some of the Truth and Reconciliation, something that Unifor strives to do, and a lot of things that we do. I think this is an actual physical way that we can participate. What's happened on this highway is tragic, with the number of people that have gone missing, and I think it's important to bring some awareness to that and to some raise funds to help with the Indigenous Healing Center to help the families heal. We do one in the fall for this that's tied to this event to raise funds, and we donate to the Tears to Hope Society. We also do the Steps for Life, which is again in honor of the Day of Mourning for Workers. So April 28th, Usually the Saturday after that, the Tears, sorry, I get my things mixed up here. Steps for Life runs a 5-kilometer relay and raises funds to, again, bring awareness to those that have either been injured or killed in the job. But the goal is to make sure that health and safety and all that stuff happens so that members go to work and come home from work, right? It was okay, little cold and drizzly, and luckily we started on a flat spot to sort of get warmed up. Had a great team, a couple of my members from town here in Terrace at CFTK and Vista Radio, yourself, Robert, as well as Mike Nagel from Mike in the Mornings, as well as our Secretary-Treasurer, Bill Catterall. We both came up from Vancouver to do it. So it was good. It was not too hot, not too cold, and I thought it was quite nice. And between the four of us, we were able to split our 10K into manageable segments to get us there right on time. I'm honored to be here for this ceremony. I think it's you saw when they raised the hands how many members or families that have people missing. I think it's very important that we show up to things like this, because as the one woman was saying, they feel support, and that's what we want to do. I mean, as a settler ally that wants to support, this has to stop. It needs to be investigated. And I mean, it's sad that we don't have answers to some of these people that have been missing. So I'm hoping this also brings awareness to that, in addition to what the society is trying to do with the Healing Center.
22-year-old Tamara Chipman was last seen on September 21st, hitchhiking outside of Prince Rupert. Over the weekend, police were on the ground searching several locations, but Chipman was not found.
On the weekend, the Prince Rupert team of RCMP officers that are working on this disappearance organized a search through search and rescue out of Prince Rupert, and we were searching a number of locations that are of interest to us that have surfaced during the investigation. That search was completed, and despite some rumors that a body was recovered, that is not true.
Not ruling.
Stubbs won't say why police chose particular locations to search, but they have received some tips in their investigation.
We've received some more tips from the public, which we appreciate. However, we are again appealing for anyone who may have seen Tamara on September 21st at around 4:30 p.m. hitchhiking just outside of Prince Rupert to please again come forward and talk to us if you have not yet. And again, anyone that may have any idea where she is, anywhere in the province or in the country, please come talk to us, and we'll be more than happy to take your tip.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Over 60% of Indigenous women in Canada have experienced physical or sexual assault in their lifetime. This includes both First Nations, Métis, and Inuit women. Elijah Corbett, a senior researcher with the National Inquiry into the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls, stated, "What the legacy of residential schools and MMIW have in common is the federal government's inability to act in any meaningful way to address this violence." In this final segment of Open Connection, Connie Gray Eyes shares why she attended this year's Tears to Hope Relay.
Mine is, her name was Joyce Marie Cardinal. She was beaten and doused with gasoline in Edmonton in 1993. She passed away a few days later. And we are one of the lucky ones that got justice. You know, the guy happened to be at a party bragging about what he did. And somebody was like, is this guy for real, right? Called it in, and that's how they caught him. And he went to prison for he got life. And you know, we're lucky. There's so many families across BC, across Canada that don't have that don't even know where their loved ones are. You know, we're lucky. It's sick to even say that we're lucky to have justice. You know, but that's the reality for a lot of families across Canada. This is the first time that I personally have come to the event. A couple of years in a row, other co-workers have been asked to come down, and I was so honored when Lorna messaged me and asked if I would come down and support this important event that happens every year. I was one of the little relay cars that drove alongside the runners and offered support and cheering on and water, and It was something else. I traveled down on Friday and then spent yesterday driving alongside runners, and then today, and it was quite an experience to witness that. I was actually really quite surprised to see some of the people that had signed up and committed to doing this walk and this run, right? I was like, man, I would just like fall right over. I remember doing the Sun Run years ago, and it took me 4 hours to do this 10K, and everybody had an hour and 20 minutes, and there was young ones, and man, like it was an honor to watch, you know, them pushing through, because some had stopped and were like, man, I don't know if I can, but they did it. And I'm so honored to be here amongst the runners, the families. You know, I know a lot of family members that have missing loved ones. I personally have missing family members, murdered family members. So it really means a lot to be here to support Lorna and Denise and the families. It's a direct result from those schools, the trauma and all of the tribulations and things that Indigenous people go through, the racism, everything comes from that. It comes from residential schools. You know, this government has taught its citizens how to treat us less than. That's why when we go missing, there is an alarm bells. You know, like you can have two women, one non-Indigenous and one Indigenous, and if you put that on social media, you'll see who gets the most shares. The alarm bells are ringing for the non-Indigenous person. Meanwhile, the Indigenous woman, it's like, another one's missing. You know, what were they doing? Those kinds of things. So I'm not shocked at all. I've always believed and you know, that I've been lucky enough to work with many survivors. I'm myself a child of survivors. And it's not lost on all of us why, and that connection is there with everything, you know, including day schools. You know, the trauma that came from that is equal, you know, to what the survivors went through with residential schools. The fact that Indigenous women and girls and Indigenous people would have their own special alert should say something to the rest of Canadians, you know, that we're targeted, you know, like just in our own community. You know, somebody wrote something atrocious underneath our Every Child Matters sign. We're keeping a tally of how many children have been found, you know, and that's right across all of Canada. And the fact that, you know, that it's a consideration having a red dress alert, I'm all for it. You know what, I'm so scared on the weekends when my nieces go out, even my nephews, when they go out, I'm like, I don't ever want that phone call that I've gotten before, you know, that they're missing or they've been harmed. It's an honor to be here with everyone, to see you again. You know, I was saying just before this, our paths always cross in the weirdest places, right? And it's because we both have that passion and love and care for community members and families, and it's just, I'm really pleased to be here, and you know, maybe one day we won't have a need for these, but until then, you know, we'll all still gather and we'll all still show our love and compassion for our family members.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.